afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone it is, wherever you in the world, it is your Lore Saviour. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, in that I'm just going to be gushing about something that I like very much. Why? Because I can, really. And the focus, Hunter the Vigil, 2nd edition specifically, I've had for a few years now, and I tend to review games once I've run them, because it's one thing to read and dislike the mechanics, but then actually to use it in an application setting, i.e. running and playing a game, that one is able to critique it fairly, in my opinion. However, I have not been able to do that in the few years since I've owned 2nd edition, but I just really like what I've read, and I just want to gush about it, because I can do that. So if I wasn't clear already, this isn't a review per se, this is just me waffling about why I like 2nd edition of Hunter the Vigil so much, and who knows, maybe you want to give it a good old read and run sometime soon. So, what do I love about Hunter the Vigil? First of all, it's fucking artwork. It's gorgeous, consistently all the way through. It's more, Chronicles of Darkness is more traditional graphic novel / comic book style. Really does work its wonders here, focusing around mortals and the occasional monster and slasher. But you have some really fucking fantastic pieces by Mark Kelly and Samuel Aria, especially the latter. Like, I've often praised Samuel Aria's dark horror art constantly in my book reviews and just in general, really, but here it's just so captivating, it's so creepy, it's so cool, really. It's just so fucking cool. And as a games master, it really helps to tickle the brain juices with creativity, because Chronicles of Darkness, unlike the World of Darkness that it was spanned from, doesn't have this big old connected meta plot. So you're not thinking, okay, I want to put vampires in this game, oh, I don't know anything about Vampire the Requiem, or I want to put werewolves in there, oh, I don't know anything about Werewolf the Forsaken. You can do whatever the fuck you want, because leading on to another point, it's a fucking toolbox of creativity for designing monsters, creatures, spirits with powers, skills, and all the rest of it to really make these fucking creatures stand out. So you can really customise your creations to fit practically any setting that you want. And as a games master, this is super encouraging. I want the game to tell me, or rather help me, aid me, give me the tools to create awesome encounters for players. And when I have seen an entire chapter dedicated to this, like, it just shows there's a lot of care that's been put into this. They've really thought this through, and they really want the game master to fucking get involved with the mechanics and frighten their players. As we're talking about customization on the games master end, let's talk about character creation. Yeah, for the most part, a lot of it falls under the same sort of Chronicles of Darkness character creator stuff, especially when it's just an extension of being mortals. But there's a few differences that I like that are unique to Hunter the Vigil. First of all, tiers 1 through 3. I love the level of flexibility that this introduces into Hunter, because in case you don't know, because there's a good chance that none of you do, although if you recently saw my review of World of Darkness Slasher, you'll have a bit more knowledge about that. But in case you've missed that for one reason or another, Hunter the Vigil is a spin-off, for lack of a better phrase, of Hunter the Requiem. No, spin-off is the wrong word here. In the early 2000s, World of Darkness completely shat the bed and it stopped doing the World of Darkness stuff, right? And then they restarted with the new World of Darkness, which I'm calling Chronicles of Darkness, because that name change happened in 2015, and that's how I'm going to be referring to it from here onwards, just to minimise confusion. Now, Hunter the Vigil is a cousin, probably a better word here, of Hunter the Reckoning. Hunter the Reckoning has a bunch of mortal humans being imbued with magical powers from God to go and vanquish the forces of evil. Hunter the Vigil is a lot more grounded and serious than that, I feel, which is one of the reasons why I always recommend Hunter the Vigil over Hunter the Reckoning, especially if you are a fan of 5th edition Hunter the Reckoning, but that's a conversation for a different time. Being a product of the late 90s, early noughties, it's difficult to deny that there is sort of like a Saturday morning's cartoon cheese with it, intentional or otherwise. And as I said, you're given supernatural powers by God, for Christ's sake. But Hunter the Vigil isn't like that, which you can probably tell by the difference in the naming scheme. Hunter the Reckoning does have like a sort of violent revenge, vengeance, redemption arc, so to speak. But Hunter the Vigil does not. Hunter the Vigil is a lot more nihilistic. It acknowledges the fact that supernatural things and monsters and all the rest of it dominate landscape, and there's nothing that people can do to completely wipe it out. These things will always remain. So it's really just a matter of upholding what you own, what's dearest to you, and pushing back the very best that you can, knowing that these things are going to outlive you and you're probably going to be dying trying. And I love the tone with that. which sort of matches my very gothic depressive aura. But it's a lot more grounded. It makes it a lot more relatable for me personally to get invested into the setting. So tiers, we were talking about tiers originally before I started giving you a little history lesson, a lore dive as it were. Yeah, I'm going to get 2 of these round the wrong way, probably, but who knows, maybe I'll actually remember which order they are. So you have tier 3s, which are your conspiracies, which is your sort of world-spanning corporations and, well, conspiracies, because all secret hush-hush sort of thing may or may not exist, that hunt things across the planes of the world, so to speak. A fair amount of them have members with powers, which are known as endowments, so you have that supernatural mortal element to it. This is the one that I can't get round the wrong way. Tier 2 are the compacts, which are more on a regional, national level. These don't tend to have individuals with powers, and then beneath that you have tier 1, which is basically just the group of hunters, and they have whatever they can get their hands on to protect themselves with and fight back on their turf, so to speak. Now, whilst I like the concept of the conspiracies and the compacts and what they stand for, again, I'm not going to give you a fucking lore dive here. Tier 1, I think, is like the ideal way of playing Hunt of the Vigil, because it really taps into those themes that I've spent the last couple of minutes waffling about, that it's you against the world. You take up a personal vigil to fight back whatever monster is fucking you. Like, you've been exposed to the supernatural world and now you've got to go and fight against it, or rather you choose to fight against it. That's the thing. It's a choice that you make to protect what you have and to delay the inevitable. Now, of course, there's nothing stopping you from any other sort of hunter outside of conspiracy to have these endowments, or you can use the Chronicles of Darkness core book, or any other source book for that matter, and give your hunter psychic powers, or some other sort of like supernatural quirk to describe it. But the thing is, you're going to be seen as a bit of fucking weirdo at best and not trusted at worst, because you're sort of a lighter version of the supernatural things that you go and hunt. And when you begin to fall down the moral ladder, which you will do, all hell is going to break loose. Which leads me on to another really key difference between Hunter the Vigil and Hunter the Reckoning, and indeed any other mortal-orientated splat within the Chronicles and World of Darkness. So let's focus on World of Darkness for a little bit. Any of the human-orientated splats, for the most part, within the World of Darkness, tends to have a humanity tracker, which I have never thought makes a lot of sense. Vampire the Masquerade, yeah, I get it. You're a vampire trying to uphold your humanity, or the fading concept of your personal relationship with your own humanity. Like, that's all very cool and whatnot, but what does a level 1 humanity human mean? Well, you're just a bit, deranged, but calling it humanity has always been a bit of a weird choice for me. Now, the new World of Darkness, and then Chronicles of Darkness, will then define this as morality, which fits humans so much better, because you are human, you don't need to uphold your humanity, you need to keep your morality in check. Just to generalise things for a moment, morality in the Chronicles of Darkness games as mortals, the morality tends to drop when you do things questionably moral, or you've been really fucked up one way or another by something supernatural. Chronicles of Darkness are more investigation stuff, so you're not really expected to interact with things too much, or at least not in the same way that Hunter the Vigil does. Now, as hunters in Hunter the Vigil, you're essentially terrorists. There's no beating around the bush about that. Now, you may be your own personal heroes because you're cleaning up the town of vampires, but chances are you're going to make vampires sentient in your games, and, well, that's you committing genocide, which isn't particularly fantastic. And I know that some people may think that I'm using that word as a bit of a buzzword with ongoing political events, but come on, use your fucking brain cells, people. What this means is that you have to acknowledge that things are going to get fucking worse over time, but you've got to find some way with your group or cell of hunters to prevent things getting even worse, and just be no better than the monster that you're trying to kill. Which is why in Hunter the Vigil, the morality is replaced with integrity. And just understanding the differences between those two words specifically puts both the mortals of Chronicles of Darkness and the mortal hunters of Hunter the Vigil in completely different ballparks. But you may be wondering, well, what happens when a hunter goes down the integrity line and they have 0 integrity? What do they become? Well, obviously they become an NPC character because they're just focused on killing things for killing's sake, and they've got no well, they've got no integrity in how they do things. They may harm innocents, they may just go on a bloody rampage because they may just enjoy the thrill of killing. Now, that, to some of you, may sound like your idea of a horror slasher, but slashers are in Hunt of the Vigil, both is in this more stereotypical horror type, but also just generic hunters who just go out and kill, like they become a slasher, because that's essentially what they become. You know, paint it however you want, that's sort of what happens here. And I love the fact that Hunt of the Vigil calls them that, and I love it that Hunt of the Vigil 2nd edition particularly includes both of them. There's a whole chapter towards the end of the book called The Slasher Chronicle that not only details more about slashers, albeit with less and more interesting information than World of Darkness slasher, which makes sense. A chapter is going to have less information than an entire book on the subject matter. But it also gives you the option to play as slashers, both your more stereotypical slasher type, but also a bit of advice about the downward spiral in one's integrity, which is really fucking cool. They didn't need to do that at all in the core book, but given the fact that Chronicles of Darkness isn't really a thing anymore, I'm very glad that Onyx Path made a decision to do that with their 2nd edition of Hunt of the Vigil. The last thing I want to talk about are merits and tactics. Now, merits is something that's found across all the Chronicles of Darkness games, and they work by allowing individuals to take certain, like, perks, as it were, providing that they meet a certain prerequisite within their stats. Now, tactics is like this, but it encourages the group to work together as a group of hunters, where you can take a particular tactic that you can use in battle or some form of investigation, but you've got to make sure that at least one other person in your group has those relevant number of dots, which may seem a bit finicky and technical, but as a group of hunters that are hunting monsters together, rather than just using individual powers and just bombarding things, that's fucking genius. Like, I really love that idea that it encourages the group to work together, it encourages group organisation within your group role-playing game. And this isn't really something I've seen a lot of in TTRPGs. Now, a fair amount of this may be down to the fact that I don't have a great deal amount of experience about the World of Darkness. I have a fair amount, but, you know, most of my knowledge of TTRPGs is within the World of Darkness. But this here is just gorgeous! But what do you think about Hunt of the Vigil? 1st, 2nd edition, both, or whatever experience that you have with? Let me know in the comments below. If I feel I've got you engaged with it and you want to give it a shot, I'm going to leave a copy of the 2nd edition core book in the description below. You purchase them with that specific link, I get some money back. Because I'm a feel from Drive-Thru RPG, and some of that coinage helps me to deliver awesome content like this. Wholesome, negative, critical, and everything else in between. But if you've got that book and want to buy some more Hunt of the Vigil source books, but you don't want to go through an entire list of books, that's absolutely fine. What you can do is copy and paste the magical affiliate link in the description below and put that into the URL of any Drive-Thru RPGs, ST Vault, or any of the other sister sites to that, and I get some of the money back that way. So you get books and free content, so it's a win-win chicken dinner for you sort of scenario. Now, if you like this video and would like to see more just a little jolly rants like this, give the video a little cheeky thumbs up, subscribe to the Lore by Night channel, and share this video with any and everyone who loves what I do, and I'll see you on the next upload, wherever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell.